Hello, and welcome to this tutorial on completing the core application as part of your Empower Rural Iowa Broadband Grant Program NOFA 8 application. In this video, we will walk through each step to completing the core application workbook, highlighting some gotchas and best practices along the way to make this process as easy as possible. The first step is to go to the NOFA 8 page of the OCIO website and download the Broadband Grants core application. It is important to ensure that macros are allowed to run on your machine, as this is an Excel workbook with embedded macros necessary for the function of the application. When opening the core application, you may see various banners across the top of the screen, such as the three you see on screen here. Enable editing, select Enable to allow you to edit and complete the workbook. Enable content, you want to select that in order to allow the macros to run. Should you see this pink message, security risk, this means you may have macros being blocked through a system setting on your machine. This is a screenshot from a Windows 11 device using the Edge browser, but you should have similar on other Windows or Mac devices and other browsers. First, you'll save the file to your machine. Then you right-click the file, select Properties, and check the box to unblock. Then you'll click Apply and OK. This will allow macros to run for this Excel workbook, and you're now ready to proceed. So with this, we're going to switch over to the core application, which you see here on screen. So if you've participated in previous NOFAs, this is going to look somewhat familiar to you. There are some changes and improvements to allow for easier application process. So the first tab you're going to see is the menu tab. There's going to be some information required here at the top, the applicant name. So this is your organization. We're just going to put in sample ISP for the purposes of this. These next three here, study area code, FCC provider ID, and FCC FRN. These are all identifiers that are provided by the FCC. The provider ID is going to be the BDC ID that you use on those submissions. You can go out to the FCC website and get all of these codes for your organization if you don't know what they are. Facilitated speeds. This is a selection between 100, 100, or 120, greater than 120, but less than 100, 100. The Capital Projects Fund requires that all projects be built to a minimum of 100, 100, or 120 if certain circumstances require you to do so. Caveat with that is that the network must be scalable to a minimum of 100, 100 within 3 years of completion of your project. For the purposes of this sample, we'll just choose 100, 100. It'll be at least that. And now you'll scroll down, you'll see instructions are here on the left, some hot buttons on the right, and then there's a checklist to show that you've completed some things here. Next, we'll move on to the ESL Input tab. This is where you're going to copy and paste in your export from the map selection tool. To select your project area, we'll move to the project selection tool, which is found at the bottom of the NOFA 8 page of the OCIO website. So you'll see here, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, and here's this map. We're going to click Open in a new window. Makes it a little easier to navigate. You'll see here there's some instructions on how to use the tool on the right. There's also step-by-step instructions on the NOFA 8 webpage, and that will help you with this process. But for the purposes of this, we're going to just go ahead and select an area. You're going to go up here to the top and go to the selection tool. You'll see here that there are 3 different options to select your project by circle, rectangle, or polygon. We'll choose polygon. It gives you the most flexibility. And now you'll need to zoom in to a certain level here. What you're looking for is for this eligible locations to turn black and be selectable. So let's just scroll in one more here, and there it is. So now you check this box. And we're going to go ahead and select a project that includes a broadband intervention zone so that you can see how that works. These are pretty close together, so maybe we'll choose 2 of them here. Go ahead and draw our rectangle. And again, this is just completely arbitrary here for the purposes of this. So once you have your project area selected, you'll see all the locations are going to highlight in bright blue. We'll go over here to the 3 dots, export to CSV file, and then we'll pull this open here. Just a moment to download. Now these across the top here are the same headers that you'll see on the core app. What you want to do is just select everything with the exception of the header row, all the way over to column AG. Select it all. We'll copy that. And then we're going to go back over here to the ESA tab on your broadband grant core application, top left corner, and paste in. So you'll see that this is populated. We want to go over here, just make sure everything filled in. And this duplicate line here is going to be a check for you to see if there are duplicates. We'll talk about that more here in a bit. And then now we'll go back to the menu tab here, and we're on step 2. And this button here is what transfers everything over to Exhibit B. And this will snap you to it. So now we'll see here, there's some highlighted items. These are the things that you need to do on this particular tab. So the first one is delivery platform. We're going to check which technology you're using for this project. Only one is allowed. If you have multiple kinds of technology in your project, you'll need to have separate projects for each. For this one, we'll just say it's fiber to the home. Now these calculations here are going to be done automatically. So in my project selection there, I had 251 locations. The prospective product attributes here, we got availability of the network, latency, performance credits, and data cap. So we're just going to, again, put in some arbitrary numbers here for the purpose of this demonstration. And that is now populated. As we scroll down to this chart here, again, these are all of the locations that you just loaded into this application. There's a couple editable things here, units and community anchor institutions. So if you know that any of these particular locations are a multi-residential unit, a condo or apartment or whatnot, you can update the unit count here. So we'll say this one has 4, it's a 4-plex. And then the same, if you know that one of the locations you're serving or going to serve is going to be a community anchor institution, you can click yes here. And then lastly is the maximum speed delivered upon project completion. Please note that these are delivered speeds, not advertised. So account for any distance and any other factors that may diminish the delivered speed to a given location. For this, we're going to go ahead and say that we are delivering gig service to all of the locations. So we'll put in 1,000, copy that down. And now you'll see all the little warning signs went away. So we have completed everything needed on this screen. Next, we move on to Exhibit C. Here again, OCIO has simplified the work you need to do on this screen by creating some calculations in the background. Total estimated cost, total grant requested, those will populate once we put in our budget in Exhibit D. And here you'll see this table, and this shows you the breakout between intervention zone locations and non-intervention zone locations. So this chart here is going to have the control ID if it is a BIZ, broadband intervention zone. This is the total locations within that intervention zone, and these are the eligible locations within that zone that you've selected. So then this next one, percent of locations selected, is going to appear here. Now this is going to be a helpful tool if you aren't selecting all of the locations in a BIZ. You do need to select at least 80% in order to get this increased match. So say maybe you have 79% here, you might want to grab another location or two just to get that increased incentive. Down here is going to then populate your maximum funding request based on these locations selected, and the maximum funding if it's in an intervention zone, and the non-BIZ is 60%. So this calculates out to a maximum percentage of 65.5%. If you want that max percentage, you just leave it here. If you want to take something lower, you enter in that lower percentage there. This next one is a reporting requirement of the Treasury, and that's the miles of fiber used in your project. So whether it's a fiber to the home project or if it's a fixed wireless project with fiber backhaul, please enter that here. And we'll go ahead and just say it's 100 miles. And as you scroll up, that's the only thing, just this federal matching funds requested. If you're requesting something less, you populate there, and miles of fiber. This screen is where you'll enter your budget line items from your project cost estimate. You'll see the categories over here. These are designed to kind of help you split the costs among the appropriate categories. So, if something doesn't quite fit any of these, just take a best guess. You can enter a little description here explaining what it is. What you cannot do is to lump all of your costs into one line item. We need those broken out, as we'll need that information when we're going through the claims process, as well as for reporting requirements. Next, you enter in the per unit costs. So for conduit, it's by the foot. So if you need to make calculations, if you bought it in some other increment, do that. Engineering and construction management are by the hour. We've got tower costs, antenna costs, and then you're going to see some other calculations here as well. So we'll go ahead and just, again, these are going to be arbitrary numbers. I'm sure this is not reality, but we're just going to put something in here for fun. So we'll say 50 hours. And then let's just put a few things in here just for the purposes of this. The next one is going to be the quantity. So we'll say there's 5,000 feet of conduit, 5,000 feet of fiber, and we'll say 15 hours of engineering, and we've got 5,000 feet of knifing to do. So again, these are not going to be realistic, but for the purposes of this, it'll suffice. So you'll see as you enter this in, it's going to sum up your costs over here. So this project is going to be $41,500. It has the maximum grant support from Exhibit C, the amount you're requesting, and then this is going to be the final grant amount that you would be eligible for on this process. All right, so also on Exhibit D here is the redact button. So should you be requesting confidential treatment of any of the information on here, one of the things that you'll do is click this redact Exhibit D button. It's going to produce a PDF document of this core application with some of the costing things redacted. You click on it, you'll see there's a password that comes up. You'll need to email the OCIO grants@iowa.gov, letting them know that you are looking to redact information, requesting confidential treatment, and they'll give you that password. You can find details about that in the instructions on the website. Now we'll go back to the menu tab here, and we're going to scroll back down to our checklist. We see that everything is complete, which means we're good to submit this. Everything is complete. You'll want to review it, of course, make sure everything is as you expect it. Flip through each of the tabs, go back to the menu, I'm going to save it. And then next, we will be ready to upload this document into your Iowa Grants application. To upload your core application to the Iowa Grants online system, this will be a part of the Central Forms section of your application. You'll see here on screen, you'll get to this section that says Broadband Grants Core Application. Everyone must upload a full unredacted copy. That's the Excel version of that file. And then only if you are requesting confidential treatment would you upload the public redacted copy, and that's going to be that PDF. So full unredacted copy is required of everyone, and that should be just that Excel file that you load right here. That is all for today on the core application. There are some helpful instructions on screen. Again, you can find all resources for NOFA 8 on the NOFA 8 page of the OCIO website, and that includes instruction, guidance, various forms that are required in the application process, as well as where you would have found this tutorial. If you do have any questions, please contact us at OCIO grants@iowa.gov. Thank you.